Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me
สวัสดีค่ะ
well? สวัสดีครับ
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's nice to meet you.
My name is Zoe, and I'm from KuanDu Museum. And this is the collaboration project between Jim Thompson Art Center and KuanDu Museum. So today I will join the discussion as well. So thank both of you for being here in this online residency project. I am still quite amazed to think about this all online things. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm from Jim Thompson Art Center. We never met before, but nice to meet you. And we have Ting-Ting.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Okay. So.
Ting-Ting, we have met in Goldsmith.
Yes, we have. I think we have lots of common friends.
Yes.
That's why we pair you together.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing with the conversation, and I hope it will be interesting later.
It will be good. I did something in the PP area as well, so that's something I will share with you later. Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you.
Ting-Ting start.
So should I start?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I think for the discussion today, I'll let Ting-Ting to introduce her project first, and then we can receive some feedback and some more information from Vipash. Yeah.
So you want the structure of the discussion to be Ting-Ting presentations, and then there'll be like feedback from me and discussions. Okay.
Yeah, but I think you can also raise your question if there's, or to simply give some feedback in between her presentation should be okay too. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. So should I do the screen sharing? Let me try. I'm not sure. Okay, here. Yeah, is it working?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah, we can see the screen now.
Okay, let me turn off this one. Okay, so I just want to be prepared. So I prepared like a script. I have already sent it to Wee and Vipash before, so I will sound like I'm reading. I just want to apologize for reading. Just want to make sure everything is here. Yeah. So I'm gonna start my presentation today. So sorry, is Vipash the right pronunciation?
Yeah, Vipash is fine.
Vipash.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
So hi Vipash and Zoe and Wee. And first thanks Zoe and Wee for having me, and thank Vipash for joining us for the conversation today. And I'm very happy to be here as one of the artists of Challenging Time online exchange and research residency program between Thailand and Taiwan. I'm going to start the presentation with a brief introduction of myself. And I know I've done it before, but I think it's first time me and Vipash officially met, and it will be pre-recorded. So I know it's gonna sound a bit repeating. So my name is Ting-Ting Cheng. I'm a Taiwanese artist. I have lived in UK since 2008. I have just moved back to Taiwan last year. I studied my master's in photography and fine art. I believe my experience of being an immigrant has a significant impact on my practice. I'm interested in subject of migration, diaspora, national and cultural identity in relation to history, and the concept of utopia and dystopia. I titled my research that I'm presenting today, The Ways to Reach the Island. But before I start, I would like to briefly go through some of my previous projects that I believe are related to the research. The first project is on the desert island. It's a 45-minute audio walk in Straw Hall Library made during my artist residency at Innova London. In the project, I used an episode from BBC radio show Desert Island Disc, where Professor Hall was the guest to lead the audience as listeners to roam around the library and interact with its collection. In the experience, the audience was asked to imagine being cast away on a desert island, trying to figure out who they are, why they're there, and how to get out of there. The picture here is a documentation of the experience. The second project is We Live in a Time Where You're the Standard. The project was done during my journey from UK to Brazil, when I was chasing time from east to west, trying to follow this concept of time zone. And this is a document, I document the process, and this is the installation view. And the next project is the Painted Voyage. And in this project, I invited strangers to send me postcards, and then I painted off the touristic monuments or signifiers on the postcards. And the last project is the Atlas of Places Do Not Exist, where I curated a library including books about places that do not exist, philosophically, politically, physically, etc. And I know that I went through them very briefly, but I hope they can offer a kind of rough context of the research that I'm about to present. So apart from my personal interest, hopefully was shown earlier, I chose the concept of island as the subject and the starting point for the residency for several reasons. And first, very obviously, Taiwan is an island, and Thailand is a country with many, many islands. And most importantly, I found the concept of island particularly relevant in a time of COVID, as the title of the residency suggested, the challenging time. So I wonder, does the body of water surround the island offer the natural national border for Taiwan in defense of the virus? And in a way, I feel like are we all isolated on our own islands, that we are either quarantined at home or in our own cities or in our own countries, that in a way, everyone has become an island. So I started my research on phantom islands and fictional islands instead of physical ones, because I believe that in many ways, phantoms and fiction island reflects how we see the concept of island and how that concept represents a level of our desire and idealism. So to explain what is phantom islands are islands that have been considered real historically. They have been presented through various maps during different periods of time. The main reference I read for this is this book. The English title is Phantom Islands in Search of Mythical Lands, as written by a German writer called Dirk Lasmer. The book includes more than 30 phantom islands and their stories. In some cases, the explorers lied for further founding. Sometimes icebergs were mistaken as islands. Other times, sailors were dehydrated and exhausted before seeing mirages. In some cases, the writer believed that the islands might actually existed before disappeared afterwards. I'm mostly interested in what those islands represent. For example, one of the islands has only women, and another one is a Christian island, etc. I'm interested in how they mirror our desires. And in terms of fictional island, I focus on islands that appears in movie, books, TV series, etc. And during the residency, I watched 4 movies. One is The Beach, Castaway, Kong, Skull Island, and Fantasy Island. They're all very Hollywood's kind of stereotype island movie. And they are countless movies based on fictional islands, and there are way more that I want to watch as well. And I've so far selected 4 because I believe somehow they represent certain quality of the concept of island that I'm trying to develop. And there's just one anecdote I would like to include, even though they might not be included in the final project. It's a fictional island country called Ishkebar. And it appeared in 2005 TV show, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. And it was designed to be an island between India and Thailand. And the king and the prince are visiting US, which is a very silly story. And as you can see, it's an embodiment of a lazy Orientalist image and perspective. So from the initial research mentioned above, I have concluded several objectives to describe islands for me. So islands are usually isolated, tropical, exotic, because many of them are portraying very, very Western-centric narratives, and mysterious, unknown, dangerous, but also alluring. Alluring. And they are utopian, and as we know, if they are utopian, most of the time they're also dystopian. So there are three elements that I would like to connect in the final project. The first is the Danny Boyle movie, The Beach. And in case if anyone hasn't watched it, I'll briefly summarize the plot. They were a group of Westerners, including Leonardo DiCaprio, were looking for a paradise in Thailand. It's a legendary island that no one knows if it's real. And then they found it, but they had to keep it secret once they found it, because once too many people find out about the island will stop being in a utopia, stop being a paradise. And this is a still from the movie where three of them are looking towards the island they want to go to. And the first key words here is Orientalism. Yeah, and it's the second time the word appears in the presentation, and I don't think it's a coincidence. Orientalism is, according to Wikipedia, general patronizing Western attitude towards Middle Eastern, Asian, and North African society. So basically is how the East is viewed and in the perspective of the West. And for me, the island in the movie represents a typical Orientalist image of Asia. It is beautiful, exotic, tropical, dangerous, utopian, and also dystopian. And I found those adjectives familiar because they are similar to the adjective to describe islands. So I kind of boldly draw a connection between Orientalism and the concept of island, that I believe the concept of island in a way is a primitive version of Orientalism. And a second keyword I would like to talk about is utopia. And again, according to Wikipedia, utopia is an imagined society that possesses highly desirable qualities for its members. The term was coined by Thomas More, describing a fictional island. The word comes from Greek, which translates as no place, and literally means a non-existent society. And here I highlighted three words. The first is members. The writer of Utopian very short introduction, Lamentary Sargent, argues that utopia's nature is inherently contradictory because societies are not homogeneous and have desires which conflict and therefore cannot simultaneously be satisfied. So for me, this shows that utopia is highly subjective. The existence of the utopia relies on the existence of its members and who consider the place a utopia. The second word I highlighted is island. And when the term utopia was coined, it was already referring to an island in South America by Thomas More. And this is an illustration was used for the first edition of the book in 1516. And again, I don't think it's a coincidence that the concept of island and utopia can be found hand in hand in many references. Curator Helena Lugo explained the relationship in her book, A Return to the Island. The idea of the island works as an umbrella that exacerbates our needs in shape of desire and pipe dreams, precisely because it is secluded in the hopes that isolation leads to beginning. After all, the island seems like a place where utopia can indeed happen. They see the world from a distance, from the distance as if they wouldn't belong to it, but simultaneously they can't escape from it. They are isolated yet not alone. As recalled by Mexican writer and poet Alfonso Rey, one frequent condition of utopia is to be islands. Islands were the missing Atlantic regions named by Plato. Island was the calypsy offered Ulysses' oblivion and restless love. Island was that of Saint Balandron, the ancestor of penguins. Islands were those sea territories feared by smugglers during the era of the great discoveries. Island, that of Thomas More. Artist Carl Gent also stated, an island is a good place for utopia because it gives you a clear outline of where it happens, and it delineates a zone that is decidedly not utopia. In case of an island, this zone is the body of water surrounding it. It can be anywhere with distinct edges, an oasis, an iceberg, a nation state, or a gated community. So here, the body of water has become a reference of the status quo, which is a concept that hopefully will become more interesting and relevant in the presentation to come. The third word I have highlighted here is non-existent. The word utopia itself implies its non-existence, the unreachable, which I believe in a way it's another contradictory nature of utopia. So if I apply the concept of utopia on the movie The Beach, and here I found the paradox. If the existence of utopia relies on the existence of its subject who think it's a utopia, how can the island be a utopia if no one knows it exists? But once the island becomes reachable or known, it's no longer a utopia. Here I would like to pose a question that why once it's known, it's no longer a paradise? This is a picture of Koh Phi Phi Lake when it's very busy. The second element, oh, sorry, yeah, so that was the Koh Phi Phi Lake, which is the second element I would like to connect in the project. Koh Phi Phi Lake is an island. English will be called Little Phi Phi Island. It's one of the islands of Thailand, which is also where the movie was made. The movie The Beach was made. It's circled in the picture over here. And in 1999, the production company of the movie destroyed the nature of the island, especially Maya Beach. They have removed part of the forest in order to widen the beach for the filming. And again, for me, the same paradox continually appearing, that in order to show the utopia, we have to destroy the utopia first. And in order to maintain the utopia, we mustn't show or present it to keep it unknown. But again, how is a utopia if it's unknown? And in 2004, the Indian Ocean tsunami attacked Southeast Asia, and Koh Phi Phi Lake is one of the places that was heavily affected by it. And I prepared a short video of, it's made by a tourist. Yeah, so for me, the tsunami can be seen as a transformation from utopia to dystopia. Over 4,000 people died in the tsunami on Phi Phi Islands alone. In 2018, the island was closed indefinitely. What happened was the movie brought too many tourists to the island, which caused damage to the island's nature. So in 2018, the authority decided to close Maya Beach indefinitely in order to protect the island and allowing the nature to recover. And the same paradox comes again, that in order to maintain a utopia, that we have to stop people from coming to the utopia. But again, it's still utopia when no one's there. So if I may try to answer the question I posed earlier, I wonder, are we as people the problem? And if I may to pose new questions. So is utopia impossible to reach? And if yes, is still utopia if the utopia is not reachable? And if no, how do we reach it? How do we avoid turning utopia into dystopia once we reach it? So for me, the beach, Kopipile, and utopia, it's just like the same as the concept of islands, that they represent something we want to reach, but we cannot. And in a way, I also feel like it signifies my current situation and the whole reason of the residency, that it symbolized the desire to cross, our desire to cross the border, to physically travel, and the impossibility of it, and either to Thailand or Taiwan. So here is the third element that I would like to connect in the work, which is a social movement in Thailand this year. And I know it might sound a bit far-fetched, but I hope it will make sense after my explanation. I'm sure many of you here know the recent protests in Thailand more than I do, so I'm not going to explain in detail. The protest started earlier this year with a series of actions, mostly from young people in the capital, Bangkok. The main three demands are dissolution of the current parliament, ending intimidation of the people, mostly activists, and the drafting of a new constitution, including the reform of the current monarchy. And here's a short definition of social movements: actions with intention to change the existing social system. And in the article, in the article, The Promise of What is Lost, writer Richard Noble described utopia literature as the literary form of posing an imaginary alternative to challenge the present status quo. And writer Rihanna First also said in an article, Utopian Model of Social Change, that utopianism is an approach to social change that starts from the premise that there is something very wrong with the world, and proceeds to dream and imagine how things might be if they were radically changed. So here we can see the connection between social movement and utopia. And can we see social movement as a way to reach utopia? Or furthermore, can we see utopia as a method, as a social movement? In the book, Utopia as a Method, Imaginary Reconstitution of Society, sociologist Ruth Levitas said, the core of utopia is the desire for being otherwise, individually and collectively, subjectively and objectively. Its expressions explore and bring to debate the potential content and context of human flourishing. It is thus better understood as a method than a goal. So here, allow me to draw a conclusion of my current research, that I believe utopia is a continuous process and debate instead of a destination or a solution. Utopia is something we are continuously approaching to. And a few weeks ago, I discovered this footage online. What happened was, you know what, let me show the footage first. So what happened was the protesters in Bangkok were trying to reach the parliament to protest, but the government shut down the roads intentionally to block the protesters. So the two protesters decided to swim through the river to arrive at the back of the parliament. I really like how the footage shows the two swimmers continuously swimming towards something. As if we, and if we circle back to the idea of body of water as the status quo, I feel this is a perfect metaphor of continuously approaching in the status quo. And just like we are continuously approaching utopia, as the nature here as a protesting gesture. So what did I do? This is my research, and what did I do in the residency to transform the research into ideas of works or unfinished works during the 6 weeks. So first, I made a utopian map, Google map, which is here. It covers the whole world. I stitched together the print screens of Google Map, and then I added the phantom islands on this map based on the location, size, shaped, claimed by the previous explorers and map makers, mostly mentioned by the book I mentioned earlier, Phantom Islands. And for me, those phantom islands represent the projection of our desires. So the map represents a certain utopian perspective. And since it's utopian, I also took the liberty to change certain borders of countries. So if anyone's interested, you can go to the link and try to find out which island is real and what I've done and changed of the map. And currently this is just an image, but I really would like to make it a website where visitors can make suggestions and alteration themselves, just like Wikipedia. So it will become like a utopian world map that is co-created and continuously changing. And people can search for where they want to go, etc. And the second idea came from the footage of the swimming protesters. Like I say, I like the idea of swimming as a protesting gesture, as a way to approach of the two swimmer protesters continuously swimming endlessly, matching with the music canon. And in case if anyone doesn't know, canon is a compositional technique that employs a melody with one or more mutations of the melody played after a given duration. So basically, canon is a type of music that continuously repeats itself on top of each other, endlessly if needed. And canon D is a famous example. I think the music will work well with the rhythm of swimming. So I made a short example here. I think I need to probably remove it for you to hear the sound. Can you hear the sound? It's just a 30-second thing for now, and just a test. So, yeah. Okay, here I would like to quote writer Rodolfo Sanchez to describe the idea. Its search cannot succeed nor fail, just as an object that has never belonged to this world can be missed or grasped. Utopia exists indeed, as Moore affirms at the beginning of his text, yet we are never meant to find it. The third unfinished work I did is a virtual video journey to the island, Koh Phi Phi Lake, designed to be viewed from our laptops at home with headphones during the quarantine time. I made a virtual journey because currently most of us outside of Thailand cannot go to Koh Phi Phi Lake during the pandemic, and none of us can go to Maya Beach, the main site of the island, due to its closure. I collected footages on YouTube of Western travelers approaching the island, and I intentionally selected ones without obvious human figures in, and I put all 50-something clips in an order from far to close in relation to the island, to make a video of continuously approaching, but without arrival. And in the voiceover, I combined the lines from the movie, The Beach, and my own research to make an 8-minute guided tour. And here's just the current version. Can you guys still see the screen? Okay.
My name is Richard. So what else do you need to know? Stuff about my family or where I'm from? None of that matters. Not once you cross the ocean and cut yourself loose, looking for something more beautiful, something more exciting. Yes, I admit, something more dangerous.
Welcome to the projected images of the place you're no longer familiar with. The island in front of us is where we are going. I know you feel lonely on this journey, but you're not the only one. We're heading towards the place where dreams can be realized. You act like you don't know what you're expecting, but deep inside, I know you do. Close your eyes and take a deep breath with me. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? The place you have always dreamed of. We have always dreamed of. We are going there right now. There's nothing to be afraid of. Open your eyes.
Hey, you! You got anything to smoke? No, I don't have anything to smoke.
That's no problem, pal, because I've got loads of the fucking stuff. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Oh, you're right, I don't.
It was a beach. It's too beautiful, too much input, too much sensation. I tried to keep it under control, but it just keeps spilling it, spilling it, spilling it. You see, she's on an island. It's perfect. I mean, real perfection. You know, I'm not just talking about. God, that's nice. It's a real fucking deal, okay? Perfect. It's just like a lagoon, you know, a tidal lagoon, sealed in the cliffs. Totally fucking secret, totally fucking forbidden. And nobody can ever go there. Never. A few people went once upon a time. Men and women with ideals. You understand? I'm not just talking about the usual travelling fucking wanks. Do you believe in that place?
Do you believe in that place? You ask yourself, men and women with ideals. I know why you pretend to be not looking for anything. Because the perfect world does not exist. Even if it does, it will not be reachable for us. It's normal to be scared because having hopes hurts. You fall when you climb high. You drown when you swim. There is always a price to pay. There is something to be afraid of.
Look, I mean, this island may not actually even exist. And even if it does, I don't even know if we can get there or not. I just wondered if you wanted to come with me. That's all.
Are you ready?
Hey!
We are almost there. You carefully step into the water. It's colder than you expected. You feel the sand between your toes. You look around. You no longer recognize this place. You realize that this is not the place you've been looking for. Or, to be more precise, it's no longer the place you've been looking for. Our arrival has transformed the nature of the destination. You close your eyes once again. You try to locate the images through your memory. You realize that you cannot find yourself in the scenery that you were seeing. Once you open your eyes, you find out that what you're seeing is also not real. Because we here are the problems.
Right. Beyond any problems that we might have, that we have so much here to inspire us. And I'm not just talking about the island. I'm talking about you. You are what makes this place work.
Are you what makes this place work? You wonder. You suddenly wake up from a dream. You're no longer in the place you thought you were. You're sitting in front of your laptop. Your mind is a model, trying to figure out what this is about. Your head is filled with questions. The air is so stiff that you can't breathe, or you don't dare to breathe. Utopia has always been a process, not a solution. The island is a projected image of our desire, of our idealism. The island is us, the exotic, dangerous, isolated utopian us, the unreachable us. We have always been in the process of approaching where we can never be. But what you had was not just a dream. The island does exist, and we are on our way there. This is where I'm going to leave you.
So for me, the works more like a trailer or an entry point of the research project. And if I may quote the writer Alessandra Arrieta to describe the idea, becoming doesn't achieve the goal in the other end because process is what matters. Becoming other, becoming the river, becoming music, and becoming utopia. So this is my research and what I did for the residency so far. And for the coming exhibition next year, apart from finishing the unfinished ideas I presented, I also would like to continue the research, and I would like to make a tutorial of a guide to reach or create an island. I also plan to continue developing the idea of swimming as a protest, and perhaps also make a tutorial of how to swim without moving forward. I also want to look into the tourism guidebook of Thailand, especially the one including Kopupilay, because I feel at times like this, when we cannot physically travel, the way for us to imagine a place we'll never be will be either YouTube or internet or tourism guides. So I think it might be interesting to look into that. So this is my presentation today. And here I listed some references I have been looking to, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ting-Ting.
Thank
you.
Yeah, it's amazing to know that you can come up with so many things in 6 weeks.
Yeah, it was very intense. How do I stop sharing? Sorry. Oh, here. Okay.
Yeah, so actually, I see a lot of progress since last meeting until this time. So within these 2 weeks, you come up with something new as well.
So yeah, I've been working on, I think 2 weeks ago when we met, I kind of have a little bit script, but nothing was so certain. But even at this stage, I'm not 100% sure about everything of the video as well, but this is the current version I have.
Yeah, but you come up with the idea of making a video. I mean, you decided the form at least, yeah.
Yeah, because I originally, actually before we started residency, I thought the exhibition will be online. So I guess that also kind of sets my mind. I want to do something for people who's at home. So I'm thinking about that as a format when I started the idea. So that's how the video started.
I see. Yeah, so Vipash, would you, after, I know it's quite short, the presentation, and quite with a lot of information. Yeah, so would you give us some feedback for Ting-Ting's project, and maybe some direction for the further research that she can do within during next year? I think next year. Yeah, we are aiming to have the exhibition at the end of next year in both Taipei and in Jim Thompson Art Center. Yeah.
Got it. So maybe I can you hear me well? This is okay. Yes. Okay. Maybe I will give you more information. That's what I think. That's why Kwiti pair me with you as part of it. But maybe I'll just want to know more about the process you are in, and then it sounds like you just starting this project, and then also maybe if you can tell me more about, like, let's say if this is like 2 weeks of developments, what have you done, and in the process of the residency, what is your plan? Yeah.
Sorry, so do you mean like what I'm planning to do like after this?
Yeah, I guess it's more on the side of the research. So like what kind of what is your next step for the research? So yeah, and then I how did you find all the materials? So that's my questions. Yeah.
So my starting point of the residency at the beginning, I think, was just island, like very simple. That's the concept of island. And I think for me, I feel like I'm quite fortunate to find the book, The Phantom Islands, because actually before the residency, I didn't know there's a thing called Phantom Island, and I was really fascinated by it. And so as I stated in the presentation, I really started from just a fiction island, because I have always been interested in fictional places. Like in my previous project, I curated a library of places do not exist. I think that the concept of doesn't exist existence and places is quite interesting. So I think actually several years ago, I did a small project, I didn't include it here, about fictional countries. So I have built this interest in that. So I started as Phantom Island and fictional islands. And then, you know, in terms of fictional island, and I guess also particularly I'm very interested in mass media. So when, for example, I did another project a while ago, it's about like stereotype of Asian in Hollywood. So I kind of look into like how movies were portrayed in a certain images, etc. So one of my first go-to is movies. And I was looking to, first I was just looking to general movies of fictional islands. And then I was thinking, you know, since the residency is Thailand, I started thinking which ones are made in Thailand, and I found the beach. And once I finished it, I feel like this is, for me, I'm really excited when I found a movie. I found it really interesting. I actually don't like the movie. I think it's really weird. But for me, I don't know if I'm too obsessed with that paradox, but I found that paradox really interesting. Like they continuously appearing for me, either Kopipile or the movie Beach or the concept Utopia. So I decided to use that as the material. And of course, like I'm still not 100% sure about how it will be presented, how the material will be used, but I really like the idea. So I started looking to particularly focus on the movie and Kopipile as a story. So I particularly found out that it was closed. I found several like YouTube footage because no one can go to the Maya Beach now. So for example, like in terms of Maya Beach, most of the footage that I want, either like pack of tourists, I don't want those footages. So a lot of them will be made by drone. So I think even now, 2020, I've seen footages of people use drone to film like you see at the end, like the beach with no people. And yeah, so I was focused, I was really interested in that paradox and the idea of island and this. And then I can't remember how I decided to combine the protest into it, because I guess I found it quite interesting, this kind of approaching to the idea society. I guess I always been interested in what type of society we would like to live in. And again, I was really excited when I found the footage of the two swimmers. And actually, I really want to find more footages, but so far I couldn't. And the other artist, Kay, he was very helpful. He sent me a lot of like map of how the road was blocked. He was showing me. But yeah, I couldn't find, probably other protesters didn't swim. I don't know what is the reason I couldn't find other footage of swimming towards the parliament, but I was really excited when I found the footage. So yeah, I feel like so far my thought is there are quite lots of ideas, and it's a little bit messy. I think it's here and there, lots of things. And I'm still, for the exhibition, of course, hopefully I can kind of concise to something and develop into further. So in terms of next step, I think I don't know actually. Yeah, if you have any pointers, that would be great. So I've been reading a lot for this couple of weeks. I've been reading a lot. I've been reading the other books by, actually it's also published by Goldsmiths, A Return to the Island. I really like this book. And it's really, really related to my research, like surprisingly. I was really happy when I found it. And there's another book, I have the PDF, the several books. But I guess I'm also thinking, how do I transform what I've been reading into work? That's another thing I hope I can do well in the next step.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
So,
Oh, please continue.
No, so what I'm trying to say is, if you have any like either suggestion or comment or things that related to my research that you think it would be helpful for me to know, welcome to let me know.
Yeah. Okay. So bear with me. I have a lot.
No worries.
I have a lot. I have a lot because several reasons. Actually, first thing is more like a broader reasons, which is like you putting yourself into quite a kind of big, and I think it's a rich and developing debates about islands and seas in I wouldn't say Southeast Asia itself, but I would say something like the South China Sea plus Indian Oceans kind of debates. where some of the not a lot, but I have seen more contemporary artists working on it. Yeah, especially ones that relate to, let's say, some archipelagos places, like artists from Indonesia, Singapore, and of course Hong Kong. And that's interesting because it's like I was surprised by you linking Thailand and Taiwan. They were more like on the side of, let's say, of course another one is like the Philippines or the archipelagos. And interestingly, I think one of the very excited research that came out was a show in Taiwan, the last Asian Art Biennials by Su Xiaowei and Ho Sun Yuan. Yeah. So they're working on this idea of mountain and seas, and then I think the islands kind of fitted in somehow. Yeah, but also part of my Singapore Biennale as well, where I was working as one of the curators. That was more on the debate side. So there were like maybe the seas and oceans where you can develop this research, because I think both there's a certain way in which you can link Pipile with Taiwan or those areas with Taiwan, but then also to you can map all of these relationships. There's some very interesting artists, like mostly Singaporeans, like Charles Lim, who work on this idea of the islands, but more like many islands, like archipelagos. Right. So that's one thing. The second thing, I work as an assistant curator for Thailand Biennale in Krabi, so 2018. So basically your project kind of haunted me somehow. It's coming back to that moment. That's good. That being said, so I have a few things to share that might be helpful. So bear with me with that. With PP, it's with PP layer, it's interesting because it's like, it sounds like it's one of the far away islands of Thailand. So you kind of need to, if you open the map, you can reach it, but then it's very far from every province. So what people usually do is that they hire the speedboats from 3 provinces, which is like from Phuket, which people knows more, like Phuket. Of course, Krabi, which is like where it's located in terms of cartographically. And then another one is Phang Nga, which is the province nearby. Interestingly, I found the island itself very interesting. I found the island itself very interesting. We did try to make a permissions because we need to install the works in 2018 in this like, it's a site specific project. So, and then we work with national parks. So we work with parks that owns the island itself. So by 2017, we know that Maya is closing. So that's, as a curatorial team, we are part of that conversation as well. It's a non-art island. So anything that kind of human related is a no-no. So it's basically we were trying to ask whether that is viable for artists to work on, and then they said no. Yeah. In reality, it's a place where you can't live, so you visit and then you go. So I think Maya closed at 5 p.m. Open at something like 8 and then close at 5. So artists just come and go. Tourists just come and go. So that's might help you thinking about, like, itself as a kind of non-place, or even utopia, dystopia, something like that. I found it's a non-place. I don't think people can inhabit it. And to me, it's a real capitalist dystopia. When I say it's a real capitalist dystopia, it's meaning that when experience of it is not something as the beach. It's like you kind of like going there, take like 3 to 5 hours. You step from the boat to the sea. It's not the sea of, it's not like white beaches. It's just a lot of people. And then you kind of like, if coronavirus gonna happen, it's also gonna happen there. It's like, it's almost like a market. You enter a market. Yeah, so that's my experience with it. Interestingly, in terms of the numbers, it's overcrowded for an island. This is what we know. It's like for the footprint of the islands itself, meaning that where people can stay is already crowded every day. So that's one of the reasons why the authority, which is the national park, said that we don't want anything there. And we're not going to build anything because the footprint itself is already quite, there's not a lot of space, and everyone somewhat damaging the islands. That's also why they close it. You might be interested to search for a footage of a shark returning to the island. I think they have found it, or it's in a Thai news. Maybe we can help you like finding it. It's a shark. It's a ฉลามหางสีดำอะครับ It's a shark that it's a footage of a shark.
Black color, right?
Black color, yeah.
I think
it's a black fin color shark or something that returns to the Maya Bay.
Oh yeah, yeah. I searched for the news. I think they opened this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, PP. I think, but I confirm with you. Like I can find some information.
That's mainly led to your swimming, I'm not sure. But basically, like nature's coming in, which is something that also like, quite, for me it's heartwarming because even though we bring artists to the whole national park, but we know what arts or what people built would affect whatever is there. Yeah.
So there's no residents on the island?
No residents on the islands except the rangers. So just a few rangers, yeah. And then when we say 1,000 islands, it's a lot of like small, very small islands for Thailand. Yeah, and then this one is maybe the farthest one, the hardest to reach. But then with the new technology, it's quite easy to go. Yeah, with the new speedboats and things like that. Yeah. What else can I share with you? Yeah, so my perception of the the Maya Islands, or no, the PP Lay is quite a dystopic one, to be honest. And that's come with a reason too, because if I, this need to do a little bit of fact check, but if I remember correctly from the word of mouth, is that the beach was themes in Maya Islands without permissions. Yeah, so that's also part of it as well. So in a way, the the fictional islands of the beach, and then the Maya island, the Pipile Islands, the real PP Islands, is this connection is interesting. It's something that you can work on. Maybe you can fictionalize it. Maybe you can do some historical work on it. It's and you can maybe work with this idea connected with maybe the others, paradise islands in Southeast Asia. That would be wonderful. Yeah. What else do I know? I think one thing that can be helpful with your work, I saw it's already in the work, which is like the way that you kind of use the footage from tourists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think I really like it. I think that's our perception of the islands. It's like it's too fast. It's like you're going there. It's for me, it's like it's too fast, because usually we go with as a tourist. I mean, the logic of tourism is that you go as fast as possible, go there in the best time possible, and then you try to go back to your hotel. So there's no way you can stay. There's no way you want to stay. Stay in the sea. So you need to go there, and then you need to go back. So it's kind of tricky, because it's end up that everyone is going there in the same time at the same place, because they need to, usually the boats, the captains, they would know when is the most beautiful during that day, because of the high rise and low rise of the ocean level, the water. So that's also take into account, like okay, today is the best for today is like at 8 a.m. in the morning, because the water will be at this level, for example, and the sun will be at this level. I found that interesting when we need to curate works for all these beaches and islands, because it's very different timing than what we know. But that ends up, like everyone would think the same, because that's the most beautiful and that's where people want to go. So we know exactly, like in this day, what is the peak time for the beaches. Yeah, for the tourists.
So at the end, does the installation didn't like in 2018 the artist couldn't do the installation there at the end?
Just at the PP Lay and other few tourist spots that is so crowded. So we got to do it in other places as well.
I see.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
can I ask, what is the project about? I'm just curious.
You look at it, because it's the theme is the edge of the wonderland. So it's also something to do with the utopia idea, the wonderland, the idea of Krabi, the location being a wonderland. It was curated by a Chinese curator called Joshua Jiang. So Jiang Jae-hong. He teach in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then it's the first time that we did Thailand Biennale. So the whole project is Thailand Biennale Krabi 2018. Yeah. K was well, the other thing, another reference that may be helpful is that we have there's also a theme as well by Ben Rivers and Anosha. So they collaborate in this this for the commissions of the Biennale, and then it became a feature theme later on. The Thai director is Anosha Suwishakornpong. I can send you by chat.
Thank you.
So yeah, so this is kind of the reference from the PP Lay site that might be helpful on to the project. I'm working on the idea of maybe a broader idea of nature as well. One thing I'll share with you that can be helpful is that I found Afrofuturism very helpful to think about Southeast Asia. I found Afrofuturism being helpful in different reasons, but one of them is the idea of logistic and the way they try to fictionalize the Caribbeans as some kind of as a utopia, as a future paradise. So that's maybe a direction where it can be developed. Yeah. So I think this is it from my side. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Caribbean will be very interesting for the long term. Is something I would love to think. I think it's also a place in the world that people really connected to this concept of tropical islands and utopia idea.
Tropical islands, utopia, something is, like when you travel, you couldn't reach it, and then you end up there. Yeah. The other thing, and another island I have been thinking about it, but that's something that you might know better, is the idea of like the Paradise Island, something that you goes from China to the east. Yeah.
Sorry, you mean I
was thinking about I was reading. It's a old kung fu novels. But we read it as well by Jin Yong. Is that the name?
I know the writer, but I'm not very familiar with his writing actually.
But Zoe was smiling, so I think she might know.
I'll check it out for you from Jin Yong.
Jin Yong, yeah. That's the character that came from the islands in the east, something like that. Yeah. West or east? I'm not sure. I think it's I think it's east. So I was thinking maybe definitely there's something there about in terms of islands that you can work, from the Taiwanese side.
I think Zoe might be this island, is it? I don't know.
Is it the Taohua Dao? Is it?
Oh, 还是蓬莱仙岛?
There are too many islands in Jin Yong.
Yeah, too many islands in Jin Yong. But I think my point is that I think the fictional things is interesting. And it's the fictions contain certain kind of maybe something you are looking for, something like some kind of utopic will that not Eurocentrics.
Yeah, actually, thank you for reminding me of, I don't know if you meant this island. There's an island called Ponglai Xian Island. And actually, previously, before the residency, I was looking to this island for other reasons. And actually, yeah, now you mention it, I think it could be an interesting connection because I think it's from Japan. From some of the legend stories, they mentioned this fictional island where gods came from. But actually they are saying that some people think there might be reference to Taiwan, because in terms of, in some of the books, how Japan described the location of the island. So yeah, I don't know, it just came to my mind of what I was reading. Actually, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I found every culture have different kind of islands.
Yes.
And I guess that's also something you can, if you can link, making some link, that would be interesting as well. Yeah, I know it's hard to imagine something or experience of let's say PP lay from without moving, without seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very difficult, but in a way, for me, almost pose a challenge that I makes me keep thinking, like, how do I let people at home or people who cannot go to experience of going? But yeah, I think, like, I thought about things like VR as well, but I think it's a very further step. But I think so I make me think about this concept of virtually going and how far we can go with this as well.
Yeah, I think that's a point as well. It's like this is the moment when you can think of it that way, because there's difficulty in going. Yeah, of being there. Even for myself, my colleagues of mine who still in Krabi said that, well, why don't you come here for the New Year's, because there's nobody here. When nobody here means like the economy of Krabi, of Phuket. The traveling to Pipile is like 80% embedded in tourism. So with the closing down, where we off the borders, then all of these provinces, they are affected. They are the direct. They got a direct impact in terms of like tourism. But what is good, according to her, what's good is that the nature got to heal itself a little bit. So I think it's not the environment's got to take a break in a way. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the information. I think they are very helpful. So I have written some keywords that I will look into that. And yeah, I think for me, I still feel like this is definitely like unfinished. Like I still have a lot of things for me to do. And yeah, this is like a work in progress presentation for me. Yeah.
Yeah, from what I see, it's like it's really in the early stage. So I just giving you like few things that I found quite possible to develop, to help you develop.
Yeah, thank you. I will look into them.
Yep. You're welcome.
Also at this stage, because it's not only at the beginning of this whole project, but also because we are now not able to really travel to the place. So I think it's very nice to point it out the direction of the islands in the fictions. So it's a very interesting line that you haven't really touched yet. And yeah.
Sorry,
I'm
you
very
mean the direction of the fiction.
Yeah, I mean, for example, for the Chinese novels, fictions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a part that we haven't really been touched yet. Yeah, so it's also more like at the brainstorming stage, and maybe at this stage we can come up with as many ideas as we can. Yeah, and we can gradually narrow it down again. Yeah.
Cool.
We share the fictions, I think, with Taiwan as well, but they're all translated in my because my father generations, we are like it's unpopular to learn Chinese, so we will kind of the become linguistically not capable of enjoying it in Chinese. Yeah.
Yeah, but it will also be interesting if there's some Thai reference, some fictions or some novels from the Thai ends, and we which is hopefully translated into English. Then we can compare them together. Should be interesting too.
Yeah, I have been looking at that as well as part of my own interest. But then what I found, but I'm still need time to look at it. Maybe in the modern literature there are more, but then with the kind of ancient novel, there were less about islands. I think we are more inland people. The one that I know is คุณวีครับมันคือสุดสาครน่ะสุนทรภู่อ่ะแต่ว่ามันเก่ามากเลยสำหรับมันยังไม่โมเดิร์นนะเนาะ
But I don't think they translate in English.
Yeah, that shouldn't translate in English.
But maybe like I can give you maybe a short idea about that. If you really interested in, I can do some translate for you, something like that.
Yeah, that would be great. Or if you can type is it a book or?
Yeah, it's a book. It's more like a folk story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that if you
no book like a book.
The title of the story.
I find out about that.
Yeah. Probably I can use Google Translate and
maybe we send email to you with the reference for today too, like what Vipash talking about the shark as well. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
And then there's a folklore about the constitution of the location in Krabi. I'm not sure about the PPLA itself, but then, for example, like Tu Weijian, the Taiwanese artist, when he came, he did interesting project where he took part of the folklore and put it into like fictional archaeology site. But basically what he did was like took the part where the Naga, which is like the big serpent fighting with giant like a titan, and then when they fought, they create mountain and rivers. That was part he was working on. I'm not sure where was the PP layer would fit in. It might be worth trying to figure out whether there are any place for folklore like this. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. So I think we have collect a lot more for research from now on. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that we have enough length for the pre-recording session. I think we can continue the discussion maybe in the future through email or some meetings later. in coming weeks.
Yes, thank you so much, Vipash, for all
Thank
the
you.
information. And I think we are Facebook friends.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you come across anything you think might be interesting, welcome to let me know.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
can
you.
do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Hope I'm being helpful here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
For your time,
So
everyone.
thank you. So I will
Thank you.
see you guys next week.
Thank you. See you.
Yeah,
For the
let's keep in touch.
Keep in touch.
Vipash, if you have time, please join us next week.
Next week,
Yeah, Friday.
Friday. Okay, Kap. We'll see. Let me know the times.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Bye bye.
Cool.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Kap,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye bye.